It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night it is going to be. Historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Early on the target. Right hand from my boy, double tap.
Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Craig Mish back with you for our Monday edition of the show. Thanks so much for tuning into the program. For the next hour, we have you covered all of the latest news, notes, sports betting information, and everything going on at the Olympic Games in Paris as we head toward another exciting week. Gold medals coming for, of course, potentially Team USA on the soccer pitch on the women's side. We'll talk about that. Team USA's basketball team also heading toward a medal round as well as things heat up in Paris. We will discuss that. Also, we have Pat Evans from Legal Sports Report on the very latest on this updated story with DraftKings looking to potentially change how much you make when you bet on their site by taking a little bit of a piece. We'll get to that coming up later. In addition, make sure you join us as the very latest from the sporting news, and we cover it all for you here on the show today. Mike DeCourcy will be on the show talking some soccer with us, no doubt. Let's start off today with a story that broke this weekend that could, potentially, I think, affect the upcoming season for the University of Michigan. You may remember last year there was an individual on the sidelines. His name was Connor Stallions. In fact, there's going to be a documentary on him coming up pretty soon. And we thought the story maybe had gone away as Jim Harbaugh was suspended for a short period of time. Again, he left for the National Football League. But upon further investigation, right now there is some trouble for their current head coach, Sharon Moore, who took over for Harbaugh at the end of last season. In fact, he is being accused, along with 6 other members of the University of Michigan, for violating rules in the NCAA, and that also included deleting text messages. Over 50 of them were found to be deleted that went back and forth from Moore to allegedly Harbaugh and even Stallions as well. Now, again, there's still not a ton of information as to the specifics of this, but he is under investigation and could face suspension or even who knows what would happen for the University of Michigan going into the season. So be careful of that season win total. Be careful of any kind of penalties that could come for the Wolverines coming up this fall. Meanwhile, Arizona is getting new sports books in their state. It was announced earlier this morning that Planetech and Sports Trade are jumping into the fray. Of course, Arizona's had legal sports betting for a couple of years now since they've opened it up legally there. Also, an announcement was made that the Arizona Department of Gaming, that they have allocated an event wagering operator license to Planetech as the designee for the San Carlos Apache Tribal Gaming Enterprise. So the Indian reservations and the Indian tribes obviously being part of this as well. Another fun announcement made today, I thought personally, this coming from Bet Rivers. Matthew Waters, who usually joins us weekly on Legal Sports Report, posted this on social media. In terms of the story last week that DraftKings is going to take maybe 1% or 2% from your winnings, no such surcharge to be the case for Bet Rivers. Bet Rivers saying that not going to happen. We're not going to be doing that to our customers, taking a shot a little bit, it seems to be, on DraftKings as well. All right, now let's go over to the very latest, the Olympic Games in Paris. Congratulations to Noah Lyles. He was the story on Sunday as he brings home the gold medal for the United States in the 100-meter final. 9.784, second time that edged him past a world-class field of elite sprinters. He earned the victory by beating the man with the world's fastest time this year, Jamaica's Kishane Thompson, by 0.005 of a second. Yes, 0.005. So close. It was the closest 100-meter final since Moscow in 1980, or maybe even ever. You talk about a photo finish. Look at that. Who could potentially pick the winner there by seeing the end there? Lyles' 200-meter finals on Wednesday. He'll have an opportunity to claim a gold medal coming up later in the week. All right, photo finish on the golf course for Scottie Scheffler. He continues his dominance of the PGA Tour at the Olympics as he takes home the gold. He was 4 shots behind to start the final round, 6 shots behind on the back 9, but Scheffler went crazy, birdieing 5 of 6 holes down the stretch, and he hit the course record, 9 under 62. He defeats Tommy Fleetwood, who captured the silver medal. Also, John Rahm had a huge lead in this one, kind of fell apart in the end. Olympic record, by the way, 72 holes, 19 under 265. Now, on the tennis court, a gold medal, incredible performance, by the way. I just got to add. Novak Djokovic. I mean, it feels like he could play until he's 45. He won the gold at the age of now 37, defeating Carlos Alcaraz. It was an incredible match. 7-6, 7-6, tiebreaker on 3, tiebreaker on 2, in an enthralling and evenly matched tennis match at the 2024 Games. Djokovic wanted the gold medal for Serbia, which is basically the last thing that he wanted to do to get the career Golden Slam, which was something that Steffi Graf had in 1998, Andre Agassi had in 1999, Rafael Nadal in 2010, Serena Williams in 2012, and now Djokovic for Serbia in 2024 as he takes home the gold. All right, well, Simone Biles had a tough time on the balance beam, but she did end up taking a silver medal just a few minutes ago in the floor exercise on Monday. It's her 4th medal in Paris, and 11th Olympic medal overall, after a routine that included a couple of steps out of bounds. Brazil's Rebecca Andrade became the first gymnast to beat Biles in a floor major in an international competition. 14.166 for her, 14.133 for Simone Biles. You may have heard the story we've been telling you about here on NewsWire over the last couple of weeks about that lake in Paris that had E. coli in it. Belgium had to forfeit because one of their triathletes tested positive for E. coli after swimming in that Seine River. Yikes. How does that even happen? Needless to say, Belgium going to be out, have to forfeit that because of E. coli, not something you hear very often. All right, U.S. Women's basketball routes Germany on Sunday, the final 87-68. 58 straight Olympic wins in a row, much better than the White Sox, and the number 1 seed in the medal round, which begins Wednesday in Paris. Team USA goes for its 8th consecutive gold medal. Next up for Team USA, and they are favored against Nigeria. Again, that's coming up on Wednesday. This new event, the 3-on-3 basketball that they're doing at the Olympics, it did not go well for Team USA. They've been eliminated, and they finished 2-5 in pool play. And needless to say, Jimmer Fredette was brought in to give the team a boost after they failed to qualify for Tokyo. But needless to say, he had a lower leg injury. It did not work out at all. Team USA is out of the running in the 3-on-3. Over in Major League Baseball, I took a shot there at the White Sox for good reason. They've lost, folks, 20 games in a row, one shy of the American League record. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. We'll see if they end up catching and passing the Baltimore Orioles here. If they break the record, it will come against, yes, the Cubs. Go figure that. Paul Skeens' day ends in a little bit of heartbreak. Ketel Marte, home run in the top of the 9th inning. Skeens just went 5 1/3, 4 strikeouts, still plus 210 to win the Cy Young over on FanDuel. The Houston Astros acquired UC Kikuchi at the deadline. They thought maybe they would get another pitcher back from injury in Lance McCullers Jr., but Joe Espada made the announcement on Sunday that he is unlikely to return the rest of the season. Wilyer Abreu on the day that he lost his grandmother, went out and played for her the next day, ended up hitting 2 home runs for the Boston Red Sox yesterday, 430 feet home run, a dozen rows deep, an incredible day with tears in his eyes for Abreu. Wanted to mention that here on the show. All right, National Football League. We got preseason games coming up on Thursday night. Jaden Daniels, the first pick for the Commanders, is going to play in the game. Dan Quinn said on Sunday that he'll play against the Jets. Who knows how long, but Marcus Mariota will take snaps as well. Tyreek Hill got his contract extension. It's a restructured deal, actually, when you think about it, and it will keep him among the highest paid skill position players in the NFL. $90 million over the next 3 years, $65 million guaranteed. The Tennessee Titans signed Quandre Diggs, and it looks like it's a deal approximately up to $5 million. And the Carolina Panthers got some good news after a scare yesterday. Xavier Legette, one of the top picks in the NFL draft, had a foot injury, but his head coach, Dave Canales, says he should be okay, avoided a major injury, although who knows how long he will be out. We'll hear from Canales, by the way, coming up later in the Sound Off. Mike DeCourcy joins us next here from Sporting News. Don't go away.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
We're getting ready for the gold medal at the Olympics for soccer, and now we're getting really toward the end of the line to find out who's going to get there, and we need some help doing it. So Michael DeCourcy joins us courtesy of Sporting News to break it all down. Mike, we've got some matches coming up. In fact, there's one straight ahead of us here at noon Eastern, so I don't want to waste much time saying hi and giving you a high five. Let's get right to it. Morocco takes on Spain. It's supposed to be a very highly contested match, I would assume, today based on the odds. So let's take a look at those. Morocco is plus 240, so they are the dog. Spain is the favorite. They're plus 110, but as you can see there, a tie is plus 240 as well. So naturally, this could go any of three directions, at least from looking at the odds. That's my interpretation of it. How about yours?
Yeah, the challenge in evaluating Olympic soccer is that these teams are really not together for very long. They might have a few friendlies on the way in. And in the case of Spain, for instance, a couple of their players wouldn't have been available for those exhibitions because they were on the Euro 2024 squad that they didn't get a lot of playing time, but they were on the Euro squad that won the championship, Lopez and Baena. And so we don't really know, even after 3-4 games, exactly how great these teams are. I think if you went on impression and watching them play, you'd feel pretty strong about Morocco. Morocco has been fabulous, taking out Argentina back in the contested opener that became so controversial, and then the obliteration of the United States 4-0 in the quarterfinals. You'd be really excited about it. That plus the fact that they probably have the most accomplished player in the tournament in Achraf Hakimi. You could say Alexander Lacazette from France, but maybe the most accomplished younger player. Hakimi is an overage player in this competition. Everybody's supposed to be 23 or younger except for 3 players. Lacazette is toward the end of his career. Hakimi is in the prime of his, and he's a fabulous right back. And he was phenomenal against the United States on Friday. For me, I feel like a little bit of the upset here is in order. Spain has the brand recognition, but Morocco has a really tightly orchestrated team. They were so well coached against the United States. Their moves were beautiful. Hakimi's as good as there is at his position. I like what I see from them, but again, it's a tough thing to grade teams that have only really been together for 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, and I think that's fair because, again, you look at the odds. I mean, I think FanDuel has it appropriately priced because of that. As you mentioned, a lot of the players younger in age than you would normally see when the countries would be playing against each other in a tournament. Let's take a look real quick at anytime goal scorer. You illustrated a couple of names there. I was wondering if you like any others. Sergio Camelo is the favorite to score a goal today at plus 200. Abel Ruiz at plus 210. And then, pretty much, as you can see, Mike, not a ton of value there, like plus 230s, plus 300s right, for an anytime goal scorer. I mean, usually this is 4s, 5s. What am I reading into here by seeing that?
Yeah, I think some of it is that it's such a I hate to use this term in this phrase but it's a crapshoot. You don't want to hit a gambling issue with a gambling cliche, but it kind of is because it's really hard to gauge who is going to score. Again, it's not just this is a youth competition. If you were looking at the U20 World Cup, say, United States just qualified for the next one with their victory over the weekend, and then fell in the championship of the CONCACAF. Those teams are together. They play in the qualifying, they play in advance of the tournament, and then they're in the tournament. The Olympics is basically put together. Okay, here you go. You're on the plane to Paris, and that's really tough to judge, and that's why it's really hard to know who would get a goal out of this. I would say that this would be a bad bet for anyone to take. If you have conviction, do it. But there's no price value in any of that.
No, a lot of 2-to-1s in a soccer match. You just don't see that a lot. And I think that you're probably right. If you can't price it, don't give anybody great odds. And I think that's what FanDuel is doing. Okay, a little bit of a different story here. So, Mike, we got the semifinals on the other side. We got France and Egypt. I mean, most expect France to dominate and win this one. They're a heavy favorite here at minus 310. Even a tie is 4-1. Egypt not expected to be at this stage. One of the big surprises probably, I would say, on the men's side, plus 750. Anything to surprise us today? Any shot here that Egypt comes away with one of the bigger Olympic upsets we've seen?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right, Craig. We've seen upsets at this tournament. At these Olympics, I should say. In various sports. But I would say that if Egypt were to beat France, even though, as I mentioned before, these are not together teams, Egypt beating France on France's home soil with Lacazette out there, etc., would be among the bigger upsets of these games. I'm not going to go into history and all of that. I'm not sure whether we could go and say it's as big as Russia beating the Olympic U.S. men's basketball team in 72 or something like that. But it would be an enormous upset. again, because it's such a high reward, and all they have to do is nick a goal and stay clean on the defensive side, you might be able to get a big reward for what is just basically a victory. But I would say that it would be a stunner if they were able to pull it off.
All right, and finally, let's hit the 3-on-3s. Team USA went out with a whimper, to say the least. Netherlands against Lithuania today at noon, so that's coming up in about 40 minutes from now. And right now I see Netherlands as a slight favorite, -1.5. And then we have Latvia taking on France, and that game will be played later as well. Latvia actually favored in this one, and despite France having the home crowd there. Again, Mike, I watch a little bit of this. I know that they're trying to incorporate new sports, new ideas into the Olympics. I think they've done a good job of it. How would you define this sport specifically in the Olympics, and who do you think comes out?
Well, my friend Fran Fraschilla, who is involved with the U.S. effort, but didn't get enough input, in my opinion, into who should be on the team. I would say that he compared it to beach volleyball, and I thought that was a perfect descriptor. Look for Latvia.
All right, Latvia, says Mike DeCourcy. Mike, see you soon. Thanks again.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just got this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
Time now for the Sound Off, which is hearing from some of the most intriguing stories in sports, including our social media team. Christian DeBlock will talk about Team USA, give us a preview of their upcoming match. In addition, Jalen Johnson, not happy with not being in the NFL's top 100, and a whole lot more. It's time now for our NewsWire Sound Off. Well, we have to remember that when people rank players, this is human beings ranking other human beings, you're not going to always like what you hear. And indeed, that has happened for Chicago Bears defensive back Jalen Johnson, who is probably one of the better cornerbacks in the game. Johnson found out during a media session that he was not one of the top 100 players ranked by his peers or other people who have opinions, etc. And sometimes players just say, I don't care. And other times people get upset. And in this case, Johnson was upset, and he told the media as much.
Just from like last year, from 2023? Yeah. There ain't no way. I don't know how you make Pro Bowl, All Pro, and you're not a top 100 guy. I mean, I could have been 101, I guess, but Aaron Rodgers didn't even play in the season. He was voted. So, I mean, hey, everybody make mistakes. It ain't just the media that do it. The players, clearly, if they voted for this, they made some mistakes. But it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I know the truth, and it's okay. I got some more for them.
Does stuff like that, though, like, drive you? Maybe not drive you, but does it just kind of feed?
100%. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. Yeah, no, it's disrespectful because I know I go out there and line up, and I know receivers go out there and can't say that I'm not one of the best people, like best player they played against. So I mean, just whatever it is, it happened. I mean, doing it that wouldn't have just like moved me to where I feel like I'm complacent or anything, but just to see it, I mean, ain't no way 100 guys better. Ain't no way, and especially guys who didn't play, who were hurt, played half. I'm sorry, excuse my language. Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
All right, extra motivation, I would say, for Johnson going into the season. All right, Team USA needs no extra motivation. They have the gold medal on their mind on the men's side as they head toward the next game in Paris. That game will be played in the quarterfinals tomorrow afternoon against Brazil. Our very own Christian DeBlock has a preview.
Defending the three-point line will be a point of emphasis for the United States as they face a tricky Brazilian team in the quarterfinals. Brazil is coming into this game with a ton of confidence. They scored 102 points in their final group game against Japan. They hit 17 threes and shot over 60% from long range. The United States has defended really well on the outside. Through 3 games, opponents are shooting just over 29% from 3. The average margin of victory for the U.S. is over 21 points at these Olympics. But if a Brazilian team with nothing to lose gets hot early, I could see a scenario where this game is tight late in the fourth quarter. Back to you, Craig.
All right, thanks very much, Christian. The interesting part about the betting side, by the way, of Team USA is the fact that they are just not covering any spread against any team at the Olympics. All right, the Carolina Panthers are hoping to get some wins, cover some spreads. They're going to need their help from their second-year quarterback, Bryce Young. Dave Canales yesterday after practice, very impressed with Young's ability to come back late, at least at these practices, and to help them win some of these events at their scrimmages. Canales talked about his young quarterback and the effort level that his Panthers are giving thus far.
So it kind of called them up right there, use it as a great opportunity to say, hey, look, this will happen sometimes. Sometimes you start a game and one side of the ball is struggling a little bit, the other side may be doing well. And the bottom line is we got to go to the next play. We get our stuff right. We go to the next drive. We don't make judgments about the outcome of the game based on what happens in the first drill. Bryce was able to come down, make a great drive in that 2 minute at the end, score a touchdown on the last play. Not the way we designed it, but he's been magnificent with some of those plays off schedule. But it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And I love when the energy, what I'm looking for is the energy to match on all phases. The offense and the defense, we're all going for it. There's not one side going and the other side's not. Special teams wise also, just we're flying around. I'll even go out there in the drills, try to run down there with them just to try to match it, try to bring the whole thing together. It's the only way that we make us, it's the only way that we become something is if we push each other.
We're going to get to know Canales very well as the head coach of the Carolina. Of course, they've run through coaches over the last few years and honestly run through quarterbacks too. But this sort of rebuild for the Panthers, we'll see how it goes this year. As most teams, a lot of it hinges on the play of the quarterback. All right, we'll take a quick time out here on NewsWire. We come back next. Pat Evans will join us from Legal Sports Report. We'll also be joined by Adam Kaplan talking some Philly football.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open. Didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Oh, he's playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. It seems like a very popular vacation week around the country. A lot of folks going out of town before schools start again. People in our business do it before football begins, which is coming up soon. So we're going to get a double dose of Pat Evans this week as some of his colleagues have the week off. So we got him today. We got him on Wednesday. Pat, thanks again for coming here on NewsWire. It does feel like that. It's interesting that a lot of people are sort of telling me that they're like looking to get a quick getaway before school starts or fantasy football or the NFL starts. I get it. I understand it.
No, I mean, hey, I'm with you on Wednesday, and then I take Thursday and Friday off. So you're totally right. I mean, it's one of those times of the year, 4th of July kind of too, and then near Christmas where everybody says, you know what, I'm just going to shut down for a couple of days or weeks, and then you're left scurrying when you have to rely on other people like I do to write up stories and stuff. So it's a tough time.
Yeah. Well, it's also a fun time too, because here's what's fun. You're on your DraftKings app, you place a bet, and in the future you win, but you don't win as much as you thought. What's going on here? DraftKings decides to step in and say, we're getting taxed too much, so now we're going to have to pull back a point or two, 1%, 2%. I mean, they're saying all the right things and it's not really going to affect you, but I mean, hello, it's my money. It is affecting me.
Yeah, and to fully understand it, I mean, like you said, it's because of high tax rates. It's only in a couple states that they would do this. New York being one, because they charge a 51% tax on gross on the sports betting revenue that these companies make. Illinois just recently upped their tax rate. So this is kind of a reactionary thing by them to say, hold on, we need to make sure we're not paying way too much in taxes, that this isn't viable for us as a business. And on the earnings call on Friday, CEO Jason Robbins even kind of equated it to the fees you see at hotels, the luxury or the whatever tax they call it, to cover the basis of how much taxes they have to pay. I think there's a difference here a little bit because it is a vice industry kind of, and they would only charge it on winning bets, which is kind of interesting. So you place a $10 bet and you win $20, but you're paying, I think the example they were using was 32 cents. And so that's not nothing. I mean, it doesn't seem big by the scheme of things, but it effectively shifts the odds from, I think it was plus 100. Not great at math, but plus 100 to minus 104. Will a bunch of bettors care? I mean, right now it seems like it's a big deal in the sports betting Twitter ecosystem and all that. But if you're just an everyday bettor who's just playing a few bets here and there on the games you're watching, is that really going to deter you from going to DraftKings if you're already an avid DraftKings bettor in New York or Illinois or Pennsylvania? That'll be interesting to see. It seems like it'll roll out in January. The biggest thing to watch, I think, will be, and Jason Robbins even kind of alluded that, hey, this makes sense to us, so I think it'll probably make sense to the other companies. Will other big sports books follow suit? Today, BetRivers came out and said they will not, that they like that their customers come first, and they will not be charging any sort of extra fee to cover taxes. Flutter, we'll see, which owns FanDuel, will be next week. We'll see what they do. Of course, that's the biggest competitor. It's really an interesting situation, and it'll be fun to watch kind of how this shakes out. Will DraftKings say, whoa, this doesn't make sense? Again, Robbins said last week on Friday that it'll take a lot to make them drop this fee. Again, it'll be interesting to see if they are the only ones that do this, or if other companies see it and say, oh, well, they're doing it, we might as well do it. And then, of course, how the bettors react. If there's not a huge pushback ultimately, you have to wonder, because again, going back to kind of that hotel example, even though they're completely different industries, how often do you look at a hotel bill and complain about those extra couple dollars on the receipt that they charged you that were not in the initial room fee? So I don't ever do that, but that's me. Maybe I should. But a lot of things to kind of keep in mind moving forward. Robbins kind of also thinks that this might cause some public cries to the lawmakers to shift taxes back, but I'm not sure that's a shoo-in either, because the lawmakers already set these taxes and said, this is your industry, this is what we're taxing you, figure it out. Lots of things up in the air, but certainly a very newsy subject that has taken the industry by storm.
Yeah, and we'll see if FanDuel, MGM, Caesar, some of these other companies follow suit. If they don't, Pat, I would guess that bonuses aside, people may shift their money in the long term over to other sites that aren't charging the surtax, but I guess we'll see. All right, Arizona, we got some news updated this morning. 2 new sports books opening up in that state. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we talk about Arizona every once in a while, and it's a very kind of revolving door in that state, honestly. They opened in September 2021 with 18 sports books. 10 were partnered with tribes, 8 were partnered with professional sports books. We've had a bunch of sports books fall off and pull out of Arizona, including Fubo Sportsbook, Twin Spires, Betway, Unibet. There's Sahara Bets, which was partnered with the Coyotes. That was their only state. So there's been a lot of companies that have come and gone in Arizona. There's currently about 15 licenses, including the 2 that were issued on Friday. That was Panatech, which is partnered with, I'm going to switch them up because, of course, I don't remember my story. I think Panatech was with San Marcos Apache Tribe, or San Carlos Apache Tribe, I'm sorry. And then what was the other? So Sport Trade with Fort Quinchan Tribe. Sport Trade is an exchange company that also has a sports book. Their exchange is not really accepted by regulators anyway, so it is just a straight sports book, I think, in New Jersey and Colorado, and now they'll be in Arizona. And then Panatech is just a B2B supplier, so you might see it will be a white label sports book down there in Arizona. So we've seen a couple successful white labels, especially in Arizona, where you've got a Desert Diamond branded sports book that gets a couple percentages in market share, which nothing to sneeze at. Arizona is a tough market. 4 companies control 85% of the handle. Of course, FanDuel and DraftKings, but also Caesars and MGM, and then Bet365, which just entered the market recently because, again, it's just a revolving door. They've had people come and go. They've kind of picked up about 6%. They're ahead of ESPN Bet and Fanatics. So just a really fun kind of market to keep tabs on, because it's new coming and going sports books, and kind of an interesting setup with the professional sports teams and tribes controlling the licenses, and how those all shake out with, who's coming and going.
Let's wrap it up with some potential for placing limits on sports bettors. This is a hot topic right now in Massachusetts, Pat. Do you think this ends up happening?
That's why they're talking about it. I think, we kind of joke internally. Massachusetts is by far the most active regulatory agency. They have meetings galore. They talk about everything. And they've had a limit conversation before because, they hear the public outcry of, hey, we're being limited. We don't want to be limited. But no sports books took part. The sports books now say, hey, we'll take part in a roundtable. So they'll be having a meeting soon and kind of talking about it with the operators on how and why they limit people and how, maybe to stop it. Again, who knows? There's just a big discussion. But Massachusetts is always a regulatory market to watch because they're so on top of kind of the issues in the market.
All right. Well, Pat, great stuff as always. I'll see you back here on Wednesday as you join us once again this week. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks as always, Craig. See you in a few days.
All right. Pat is with us from Legal Sports Report. ESPN reports Puka Nacua, the wide receiver of the Rams, is week to week with a knee issue. Naturally, as the time goes on and we cover fantasy sports for you, we'll see where he ends up going in your fantasy football draft. But at least for the time being, looks like he's off the field and the practice field for the Rams. We will come back with Adam Kaplan covering the Eagles up next.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Great to have SportsGrid NFL insider Adam Kaplan back with us here on the show. He's going to be super busy over the next month, traveling all across the country doing his training camp tour, but we're fortunate enough to get him on one of the easier stops right in his backyard, the Philadelphia Eagles. It is great, Adam, to see you again. It's like when I see you here on our network and I see you here on the show, I know it's almost time for football season. Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, you're right. It's that time of year. I'm going to be away for a better part of 3 or 4 weeks. As you said, it started with my hometown Eagles in terms of that's the team that's here. And then, of course, I see the Giants and Jets and see your Dolphins later this week in Miami. I look forward to that. But yeah, it's really been interesting with the Eagles, Craig, because 2 years ago they shocked the world, made the Super Bowl, probably had the best team in the National Football League. They didn't beat the Chiefs. I get it. Didn't happen. I know they were really dejected within the organization, but they took a step back last season after choking that big lead, 10-1. What a great record, best record in the National Football League. Then losing 6 out of 7, and that culminated with 2 coordinators on offense and defense, and really a new look team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think, as always, Howie Roseman very busy on draft day, making all kinds of changes to the team. And you're right, Adam. It's like it's hard to remember every NFL season, but that's the one thing I do remember about the Eagles is thinking halfway through they're probably going to win the Super Bowl or get there, and it was like nowhere close. I was just so stunned at their complete collapse, but they are essentially running it back as far as the coaching staff is concerned. Let's take a look at some of the additions that they've added to the team this year. And the biggest one is the biggest name. But in this day and age, Adam, of the NFL, I mean, if we were doing this 10 years ago, it definitely would be Saquon Barkley. But this day and age with running backs, I don't think it's fair to say that. You probably have a much better read on this team than I do as far as where they're headed. Fantasy purposes, of course, Saquon Barkley is a big name. But what about reality? How do we separate that?
Yeah, so let's look at Barkley. And in Thursday's practice at Lincoln Financial Stadium, Craig, I thought it was really interesting because with Kellen Moore, and I've studied Kellen Moore, who's a new offensive coordinator, and I've talked to people who work with him, the backs catch the football. Tony Pollard caught the ball very well for the Cowboys when Kellen was there. And when you really look at it, Barkley has caught a lot of passes in training camp. Now, we saw this last summer with a different play caller, and Brian Johnson, who's now with Washington, with DeAndre Swift, and Swift wound up not catching a lot of passes in the regular season. But Kellen Moore and running backs, the backs catch the football. So Barkley's look good. But you saw that chart up there. This is a big story with a big guy. This has been like the stunner of their offseason, Greg. Mekhi Becton is not currently lining up at tackle, not left tackle, at right tackle. Though he'd line up earlier in training camp at right tackle. He's been lining up at right guard. He started actually their OTAs after he signed after the draft, Greg. At guard, these guys never played guard in his life. So Jeff Stoutland, their offensive line coach, is really, really good, one of the best in the National Football League. He thinks he could play it. I can tell you this without a doubt. If Becton lines up week 1 in San Paulo against the Packers, if he lines up at right guard, they will have the biggest offensive line in NFL history. They have 3 guys 6'7" or taller, 3 guys probably 340 or bigger, 1 guy, Jordan Mailata, who's 375, 380. Now, again, let's not run with it here. Tyler Steen was handpicked by the Eagles to play right guard. Unfortunately, he's dealing with an ankle injury, but Becton's been an amazing story, one that no one saw coming. But right now, he's been lining up at guard.
Yeah, really. His career has gone up and down, constantly in and out, injuries, everything else. Maybe this is the new lease on life with the Eagles. And, the Eagles wasted no time on draft day reshaping that defense, Adam. And look, the offense was capable down the stretch, but the defense just completely fell apart. They drafted a cornerback, a defensive lineman, and an outside linebacker with their first, second, and third round picks, and even took a linebacker in the 5th round as well. I think everyone is familiar with Quentin Mitchell when he was drafted, but educate us, Adam, beyond that, who the impact players were from that draft.
Yeah, and Craig, Cooper DeJean, unfortunately, who's their 2nd round pick out of Iowa, could play corner and safety. He suffered a hamstring injury away from the team, so he's on the active non-football injury list. They feel like he could be back in the middle of August here, but him not getting valuable reps under Vic Fangio, their new defensive coordinator, that's a shame because the Eagles had a 1st-round grade on this player, DeJean, and he's a multiple position player. He could also return punts or kicks, really big-time athlete. You mentioned Quinyon Mitchell. Now, this is, again, I get it, it's training camp. You never know what's going to happen in the regular season. We turn to defense. Quinyon Mitchell has been lining up inside a lot. This is not something that he did a lot in college, but to get him on the field early, they've lined him up as a nickel slot corner. He's done a very good job watching him go up against A.J. Brown in practice. It's been kind of surprising what these coaches have done. But again, yes, Nick Sirianni's back, but he's got 2 new coordinators, and it certainly shows.
Yeah, and I think that you mentioned Nick Sirianni, who was the darling of coaches in the NFL just 2 years ago. But in this "What Have You Done For Me Lately" sport, as the season collapsed last year and went to an end, there was that pause at the end of the season, Adam, for about a day or two, where we didn't know if Sirianni would be back. Now, I think it's fair to say that Howie Roseman has proven everything that he possibly can in the NFL, so he's going to be making that final decision. They're bringing Sirianni back again. I would ask you, Adam, going into the upcoming NFL season, certainly Saleh with the Jets has pressure too, but Sirianni's got to be up there as far as having to at least not fall apart like they did last year.
Yeah, I would put Nick Sirianni, Doug Peterson, Robert Saleh. They all have to prove themselves as coaches. Yes, Nick Sirianni, the Eagles head coach, has been to the playoffs all 3 years he's been the head coach, but historic collapse. Doug Peterson, as I said with Burrell, they got to win this division. They had it. The Jaguars choked down the stretch, but he's got pressure on him. You're absolutely right. Nick Sirianni has a ton of pressure on him. And by the way, they've had a good offseason, the Eagles. They've had a lot of new players, as you saw in those charts.
All right, finally, their season win total. Look, the Eagles are going to be really good. I know that. It's not going to be good enough, as you mentioned. They'll probably win 9, 10, 11 games, get to the postseason. But Adam, over on FanDuel, that's where the slant is about 11. I mean, minus 172. Yikes. Like, I don't even know that I'm interested in doing anything like that. I may try to find 11 somewhere else. Do they come close to that, over, under, or does that seem about right to you?
I like the over. 2 years ago, I had them at 14-3. I did get that one right. It's not easy to pick those win totals. I do like slightly the over 10.5 because they are the cream of the crop of that division. And by the way, no one's had a back-to-back divisional championship in the NFC East since 2004 when the Eagles were in the midst of winning 4 divisions in a row.
All right. Thanks, Adam, for coming on. Good luck with the tour. We'll catch up when you get back.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just got this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed. To tie the lead at 16. Playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. It's time for some final thoughts here on the show as we dive right in. You, me, and of course some topics as well. It's time now for some last licks. All right, we begin with a little Chicago White Sox talk, folks. They've lost 20 games in a row. I mean, that is so sad, so pathetic. I was watching some of the clips last night from their post game with Ozzie Guillen and Frank Thomas, the Hall of Famer. It's just so sad to see this fan base dive down into arguably having the worst season in the history of Major League Baseball. I mean, it is possible that the White Sox only win like 40 games this year. It's kind of crazy. All right, so one more loss, and the record is theirs. I remember when the Baltimore Orioles, by the way, opened up that season and lost like 1 million games in a row. The other part of this, too, that's sort of perplexing is the White Sox are not eligible to be in the lottery because of their market size and part of the new collective bargaining agreement with revenue sharing. So the White Sox are not even going to get the number 1 overall pick of the draft for having this horrific season. 20 losses in a row for the Chicago White Sox. All right, once upon a time, John Gruden was a coach in the NFL. You know that. Tampa Bay. Remember that Super Bowl? Remember the Raiders? Of course you do. Remember the Raiders again? Of course you do. So was it surprising to see him over the weekend back on the football field? No, because it's just a matter of time before Gruden is back. What I did not expect him to wear was red, meaning that he was on the field with the Kansas City Chiefs. That is correct. As a coach with the Kansas City Chiefs. My goodness, John Gruden looks kind of good in red next to Andy Reid. Would he potentially join the Chiefs coaching staff? Is he a successor to Andy Reid in Kansas City? Look, I know that there was a lot of back and forth, and certainly those private notes that he wrote that got disclosed didn't do him any good at the end of his career. But have we seen the last of John Reid? John Gruden's still very young. Probably could coach again in the National Football League, but he was spotted this week with Andy Reid helping out on that coaching staff. Needless to say, I probably think Gruden's still years away from coming back. He was really good at Monday Night Football. I don't know why he just doesn't do that. All right, we try to end on a positive note. We're going to do it today. We're going to end with Max Freeman. Based on the stories we've done previously, you would think that that kid right there that you see is playing soccer for some team. But no, that's Freddie Freeman's son, Max Freeman, youngest son, who had a very debilitating bout with Guillain-Barre syndrome. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this, usually affects adults and the nervous system, and it debilitates you from moving for a period of time, and then you get back to normal. Now, it doesn't really affect kids all that much, but apparently affected Freddie's son, Max. But the good news is that they posted a picture over the weekend of Max in the hospital, getting better. And I know Freddie Freeman's missed a lot of time from the field to be with his son, as he should, but always like to end on a positive story, and that is really great news to see Maximus Freeman back feeling good again. All right, that will do it for Last Licks here on the show today. Also, want to remind you folks, it is fast and furious time for the NFL football season. In addition to our Olympic coverage, we have plenty of coverage coming up for the NFL preseason games Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and yes, Sunday as well. So make sure you stay tuned to all of our shows. Those include the next one coming up. It is the early line, followed by Kaplan and Crew at 1 p.m. Eastern. Pharrell Coast to Coast at 3. Game time decisions at 6. In-game live prime time tonight, as well as Sports Rage late night. Make sure you catch all of those shows as well. Also, want to thank all of our guest contributors on the program today. Pat Evans from Legal Sports Report, Mike DeCourcy from Sporting News, and, of course, Adam Kaplan from right here at SportsGrid. Also, thanks to our producer, Frankie B., and I'm Craig Mish. Don't forget, you can catch me each and every day, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern here on the show, although I will have a day off tomorrow. I'll be back with you guys again on Wednesday. And for all of your coverage of the Olympic Games, make sure you download the SportsGrid app. Take out your phone and just scan this QR code that's right there on your screen. News, notes, information, picks against the spread, opinions from all of our hosts, videos, clips from our great social media team, and a whole lot more. It is the SportsGrid app. Make sure you download it, and it is absolutely free for both iOS and Android. Download it now. It'll help you out throughout your day. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day right here on SportsGrid, and I'll be back with you guys Wednesday morning for our next edition of the show, updating you on the Olympic Games as we get closer to the gold medal in soccer and basketball, two of the primary sports, as the Paris Olympic Games continues. And our coverage continues throughout the day right here on SportsGrid. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you back here on Wednesday. Same time, same place. New edition of NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Have a great day, everyone. See ya.